Hey, good morning. Welcome back to SBJ Weekend Review. My name is Keagan Halsey. To my left is Chad. Chad, I just want to point out how crazy the transition is to go from being in the Bahamas to having snow this morning on our way to the gym.
Pretty crazy. We're talking 80, 90 degrees down to 22 degrees and snow flurries.
I pulled in. I didn't even notice it. I was driving. I pulled in the gym, waiting on Alex to get there, and I noticed there was snow falling. I go, "You got to be kidding me! Like, this is stupid." Because the whole time while we're out of town, people were texting me going, "Yeah, man, it's so hot here." And so I was expecting to come home and it'd be like 70 degrees, and we have snow. The high for days like 33.
And when we got home Saturday night, it wasn't cold, but it wasn't hot. I mean, it was like 60s or whatever, and I was like, "This ain't bad." And then we looked at the weather.
Yeah. So
woke up Sunday morning.
Feel like it's going to make me sick going from that to that.
Well, because I remember standing out there at West Palm when we were picking up your truck and switching everything over and just standing in the sun and the warmth of the sun on my legs. And I thought, man, that's really nice. And that's not happening this morning.
No, not at all. But
that's not happening.
The other, like right before the cruise when we left, it was pretty hot outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was telling everybody I feel like the groundhog lied to us because it's pretty hot.
Yeah.
But no, this morning it seems like he was dead right.
Well, I just want to say about the groundhog, I feel like that's a lot of unnecessary pressure on an animal.
But does the animal know the pressure?
I don't know, but I feel like they're like people who are mad at an animal, and he was just like, man, I was just trying to take a nap.
There's people posting on Facebook, I'm going to kill that groundhog.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot, man.
They act as if like the groundhog controls the weather and isn't just saying what it's going to be, regardless of his action.
Poor groundhog. But I feel bad for him.
But no, it's good to be back. Trip was awesome. We had a lot of fun with the rest of the people from the church that went with us, but I think everybody was ready to be home. I wasn't, but now that I'm here, I'm like, okay, it's good to be back.
So my issue is like when we get off the boat, I don't mind. It's the 10-hour drive home.
That's what I was.
That's the part.
That's the reason why I didn't
dread.
want to leave the boat. I was like, kind of like, all right, well, kind of gotten everything I can get out of this cruise. I would like to be home, but I do not want to drive that far.
Yeah,
and even yesterday, I just went to bed so fast because the first night I couldn't sleep. My legs were hurting so bad from being in the car that long.
Yeah, I just wish there was a port in Jasper.
That would be nice. That'd be very nice.
That would be good. We just get on the boat right there, take a river out to sea.
I wonder if do they go out at Savannah?
I have no idea. I know nothing about Savannah except for in July it is hot, muggy, and
it's just
humid.
A nasty place.
Yeah, it's a hard place to be. I don't know how people want to live there. And no offense if you love Savannah, that's awesome. I do like the Savannah bananas, and but other than that,
Haley loves Savannah.
Yeah, Savannah's great if you go right now.
Well, that's like the Bahamas. It's awesome in February.
Oh, Bahamas
it's perfect weather.
The weather was perfect. Like you could get in the water.
Hot, but it's warm.
Yep, not too hot, but still warm enough to get in the water, still warm enough to go and do stuff. And it was good wearing shorts and chacos. It was nice to break them back out. But yes, but not just blazing where you're just like sweating and it was awful. So I really like that.
Well, it's funny being in the Bahamas. It was like 80 degrees and all the people there were wearing hoodies.
Yeah, they were freezing to death.
Are you serious, bro?
We walked into one place, and it was a preserve, a nature preserve, and we went in to pay, and there's this guy in there. I guarantee you he's definitely bigger than I was. And he's got a hoodie on, he's got the hat on, and he's tucked down as if he's about to die.
And then I was sweating.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And then we went and bought some Keagan punch in a store, and that person that was running that cash register, they were completely bundled up under the hoodie, and like they were freezing.
Well, the kids walking to school all had hoodies on too. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, their bodies made for a different environment, I guess.
Speaking of Keagan Punch, this episode is brought to you by Bahamas Keagan Punch. It's bottled by Coca-Cola. You can only get it in the Bahamas, so if you're there, you got to grab you some.
Or you can come to our house, and for a small fee of $10, we'll sell you one.
Well, probably more than that because they screwed us. We went, obviously, I wasn't thinking about how much was in my card, and I went to buy the Keagan, and she said, oh, it only took $19. And so Dad was going to use his card to buy the rest. And it turns out she charged me the $19 and then still charged him full price. So
We paid a lot of money for the Goombay punch. So
yeah.
if we can make back some of our money, if you'd like to try it for a small fee, like I said, we're
willing to sell you some. What I think worked out good for us is I thought we were splitting that Goombay with Grant.
Well, Grant never acted interested, so
we got a lot of Goombay. If you want to see, you can check out my Facebook. Me and Alex both are carrying these massive cases of Goombay. I don't even know how many bottles was in it. 24?
24, yeah, it was a case.
24 bottles.
A lot of people, especially the locals, when the locals see you carrying their drink, they want to talk to you. They think that's really cool. Yeah, when the locals see you carrying a case of their drink, that they want to have a conversation, which I think is really, really cool. But we love it. If you like a pineapple soda, if you like pineapple Fanta.
It's pineapple Fanta if it was better.
Yeah, and so that's what you got right there. It's probably, I think there's 48 grams of sugar, though. I mean, it's bonkers. What's in there?
No.
Yeah, look at it.
36.
36 grams. Sorry, my bad. 48, 36. Yeah, only 36 grams of sugar. My bad.
But 0 grams of fat.
No fat.
Only 10 milligrams of sodium.
Yeah. How many calories?
140. That's the same as a Coke.
That's
the same as a can of Coke. This is more liquid than a can of Coke.
Oh, so we're doing good. So buy some Goombay if you ever go to Bahamas. At least try it. Buy a can of it. Try it. We like it. The Holsey boys like it. I think Alex likes it. And so I don't know about Grant, but
he liked it. He did not like Vitamalt.
Vitamalt's gross.
It's terrible. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's definitely not anywhere close to good.
No.
But yeah, while we're walking back through the port, we were worried that maybe they're not going to let us take all these drinks on, and the 2 Bahamian people that were running that first part to get you into the port area, the guy said, "Yeah, we're going to have to confiscate that." And he looked at the other lady and he said, "You want half?" She goes, "No, I want the whole case."
Of the Vitamalt?
Oh, no.
Oh, of the Goombay. That's funny.
Alex bought Grant 1 bottle of Goombay because he hadn't had it yet.
Oh, Vitamalt. Okay.
Grant, this guy we keep mentioning, he's my friend that came with us on the cruise, for anybody that's confused.
Yeah, we probably never will see Grant again. He got to hang out with the Holseys.
He had a good time.
And Alex and Haley, the Pences. And
I will say, Grant did say, when we left Grandpa's house that next day, he said, when your grandpa was sitting there telling that story, I was sitting there watching him, thinking in my head, this is exactly how Keagan tells stories.
Yep. Exactly.
He said it was you, but older. It was crazy. He said, I 100% see who you get your personality from.
Oh, yeah.
I said, well, I think I'm a healthy mix of my dad and my grandpa.
And that's, none of those are good. None of those are good. Well, I could say that your grandpa and me like to tell a good story, and I think you two like to tell a good story. So, yeah, you come by it honestly, for sure. Come by it honestly.
Yeah.
So, well, we never could really get figure out Grant because he's a pretty quiet guy, or at least he was around us, and so it was really hard to kind of figure out, where he was or what he thought, or is this stupid? I can't believe we're doing this, or he was having a good time. So
he was having fun. I think was just quieter around you guys, trying to feel y'all out. But he's like very, very funny. So yeah. I wish y'all got to see more of that. But then we had a good time. Luckily I was worried. Luckily there was 2 beds in our room.
Nice.
Praise God.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, we had 2 little twins and then a chair that was so close to the bed you couldn't sit in it.
Well, our chair was like straight. It wasn't comfortable.
Yeah,
so it wasn't even worth sitting in.
I wasn't going to waste any time.
You might sit in it to put your shoes on.
If I'm going to be in the room, I'm going to be in bed.
Yeah. Well, usually if I'm in the room, I'm out on the balcony in a hammock. So it's way to be. But we had a lot of people. I think there was 26 people that went, and got to hang out with most everybody at some point, sometime, and we got to do some adventures with different people, and I thought that was really good. It was neat to hang out with different folks from the church in a different capacity than what you normally would at church, and so we got to eat with some folks one day for lunch and visit with them.
The lunch was really fun. Run around Key West with a couple of them was really fun.
Yeah. The Marcinkos and the Ellises, we ran around Key
And then
West
there's some people I only saw like once on the boat. Just happened to be passing by.
Well, we got lucky. We in a couple of the things that we were doing at our at Sea Day, we got to hang out with the Pearsons, we got to hang out with the Moores, and we got to hang out with the Toweries and the Odoms, and so
I very rarely saw the Pearsons. I saw him the first day at the buffet, and then I saw him at that murder mystery show.
Well, I can tell you right now, if Grady's involved, he's having a good time. That dude, dude's having a good time.
I'll say this:
he's a lot of fun.
I only saw Janie that first day at the buffet.
Yeah,
never saw her again.
I think her knee got to hurting, and but I think she did fine. She was off the boat, headed home. You know, Tracy kept contact with her, and but it was to a point where just running around was kind of tough. So she may have done it overdone. I hope she didn't do it too much. I hope she's doing well today. I need to call her here in a little bit and check on her. But anyhow,
I mean,
it was great.
Pretty much everything with the cruise without just like getting into like personal stories and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't want to bore you guys with that, but we had a lot of fun. It was a good time. And next time we do that, you should come check it out and join us.
Yeah, y'all need to come. You know, church folks, come join us. We just have a good time and a lot of people. And the good thing is, if you want to hang out with us, hang out with us. But if you don't want to hang out with us, you don't have to hang out with us. You can go do your thing. And there were some people that did that. Some days they hung out with us. Some days they went and did their thing. And I think that's the cool part about it. You can hang out with us as much as you want, or you can go do whatever you want.
Well, I think it was a good idea to, hey, this one day, let's all try to get lunch together. Yeah. And then other than that, you know.
And a lot of the folks did, but there were some folks that didn't come eat. And that's fine. I mean, that was not a problem.
Wow.
Not a problem. So, and then we got to eat breakfast a couple of times with some folks. So it was just good. The whole thing was a good week. The only thing I want to make for sure we do next time we do it is that we all do dinner at the same time in the same area, maybe 2 or 3 tables. That way we can visit with everybody each evening. That's the only thing I didn't like.
I feel like that's just a hard thing to pull off.
Well, but we did it when we did it before. We had 2 tables, and it worked great. It was perfect. So
I say that, but then I think about when we used to go on cruises with Brittany, Brittany's family, and Brooke's family. That's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And we were all right there.
And 2 or 3 tables right there, and then you just kind of fellowship when you eat, but then you can get up and go talk to people and, hey, how'd your day go? And I think that's good. And so that's one thing I want to try to do next time we do. But we're thinking next year doing a ski trip instead of a cruise. So what I'm thinking, and I don't know, y'all let us know what you think, but every other year, so next year we go snow skiing, and then the next year we do another cruise. And so
I'm all over that. I just got some new snowboard boots that are nice.
So let's do it. I think it's great, and it'll be a good time, and I'm hoping that we can pull that off. I think it'll be good. So it'll be good.
Yeah, well, hey, we don't have a Wednesday night to talk about.
We don't know Wednesday night.
Wondering, halfway through the cruise, I went, did we cancel Wednesday night this week? Or did I forget to get someone to teach for me?
Yeah.
I completely forgot that everybody else is also on a winter break, and it wasn't just us going off and having fun.
Yep. No, it was winter break, and I hope everybody had a good winter break. I hope everybody did good. Sorry we didn't do our podcast, but we were driving in a car, so it's kind of hard to do a podcast.
So our Russian fans, I'm sorry that came out of the blue for you. We're back, though, and hopefully you stay with us. And the people in the UK, don't know how the heck we got y'all, but we're happy to have you.
Yeah, man, thanks for listening, man.
I checked like a couple weeks ago. They're still listening in, which is crazy to me.
That's cool. I love it. I'm glad y'all are listening. I hope you can understand our southern twang or whatever, and hope you enjoyed the podcast. But and I appreciate everybody that listens. I think that's awesome that you guys jump on every week and listen. And I think it's good.
Yeah, but no Wednesday night to go over, but we were back in full swing this Sunday. So you want to dive right into that?
No, it was good. I think we're still recovering. So we did 2 weeks off because of bad weather, and that really messed us up. And then we have now jumped into winter break, which I think has kind of hurt our numbers, but our numbers were pretty decent. It's funny when we say we were down, we only had 183, and so I think that's good that's a down number. But I'm very pleased with that. And Sunday school was a little bit low by about 15 or so. But
this week or last week?
This week, and so I think we're going to be okay. I think we're recovering. Now that we're through the breaks, I think once we get back, I think next week's going to be a really good week. And so I'm looking forward to it. And I think the numbers are going to be back where they need to be. And Sunday school, the last 2 weeks, we've probably been the lowest Sunday school my class has ever been. I think we had 13. And so we're just about as low as we've ever been. But I know where everybody's at. They're either sick or they're traveling and, they're gone or whatever. And so I really think next week we're going to rebound. And a lot of my people were gone and out of town, which, kind of expect that with it being winter break and a lot of people just hitting the road. So anyhow, I think I'll be excited to see what next week does, what our numbers do. Hopefully they rebound and they're where they need to be. But when you look at that number that we're low, if you just add my normal numbers back in, then our number's back. So it's like my class is the class that's missing. This week I had a lot of half spouses, like there was one there but not the other, one there not the other. Yeah, and that happened. I bet I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that one of them was in there but not them. Their other half, their better half, and so that kind of made the numbers.
You're saying you got the worst half?
No, I don't know.
Well, you said their better half wasn't
the way
there,
you
so
say that,
so you ended up with the worst half.
Wow. Yeah, that's on me. I didn't mean it that way. But yeah, they were missing. And I know some of them were sick. Some of them were still out of town. Some of them were stuck at an airport, got delayed at an airport.
I had a few out of town.
Huh?
I had a few out of town.
Yeah. So I think when we add your numbers back and my numbers back, then our numbers are going to be rebound and be really good. So I think it's good. And typically when my numbers are bad, your numbers are going to be bad and vice versa.
Because I have the kids of your parents.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that runs that. But anyhow, I'm excited about this week. I'm excited as we start drawing near this next month. We're going to be looking at missions and encouraging people to give. Sorry for that huge knock that you just heard. That was Keagan trying to get a drink. But trying to encourage people to give to missions and commit this next year of what they're going to give to missions. And hopefully we'll have a good
100K.
A good group of people that'll participate in that.
Looking for 100K this year.
That'd be nice. I would love that. I think that'd be really, really exciting. And I would love for our people to jump on board with it's an eternal investment. It's something that the return on it's going to be out of this world. It's going to be fantastic. And so this next couple of weeks, maybe not next week, but then the next week we're going to really start.
What's that verse that says like basically if you as a follower of Christ notice somebody in need and do nothing about it, are you really a follower of Christ or something like that?
That's good.
I forgot what verse that was, but we read that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And even just like with the stuff that Jay's doing, the feeding centers and the churches and the people that are being saved, even just through World Harvest Missions, Baptist Missions Agency, the amount of people that are hearing the gospel and that are coming to Jesus that we get to be a part of. I mean, it's huge, and that's just a small Jay and his group is just a small part of what we do. But man, I just think it's incredible, and I'm really excited. In a couple of weeks, he's going to be here doing.
Well, and the places he's willing to go.
He's going to places.
I think our audio froze there, so if you didn't hear that, oh my gosh, we're freezing up bad.
He goes to places like he's been to some places where they have told him, "You're the first white person I've ever seen." That's crazy.
Well, they've gone to some places where people that are rolling with him have gotten shot.
He has been there when people have been shot.
He swam in rivers with gators or crocs or whatever it was swimming around. I mean, they're in some pretty.
He goes to some crazy. He's going
areas.
to some unreached people groups that I don't know. I think it's impressive. So he's doing some stuff, and he's got some good stuff going, and they're raising up good pastors, local pastors, where they're at in Africa and Myanmar and different other places, and just some really, really good stuff. So sure, he's making a big mess. So.
I will say, like, it's nice to see, well, even with anything, not even just ministry, it's cool to see someone that's passionate about what they do feel like sometimes like you'll hear like a missionary present, and it's just like, man, that
Right,
sounds
yeah,
like they hate their job. Jay's one of those guys, man. He's hyped and loves talking about what he does, and I don't know, something that there's a quote from a movie that says people love what other people are passionate about, and I don't know, I think it's always, hearing stuff like that's always encouraging and makes you even more excited to support and be a small part of what he's doing. So if you're coming to the men's conference, the men's retreat, you can catch up with him and get him to tell you some stories.
You guys need to come to the men's retreat. It's going to be fantastic. But he's going to be here before the men's retreat and on a Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So he's going to come,
nice,
and not only he's going to preach the first both services, but then in Sunday school we're going to do a combined Sunday school, and he's going to give a report during the Sunday school. So. Well, they're supposed to. They have to. They're required. From the youth up, they're going to be in there to hear Jay tell his story.
Because I was about to say, if not, I'm going to get somebody to teach for me, and I'm going to come in and listen.
So from the youth up, that Sunday, he's going to preach both services, but then he's also going to give his report and tell stories during Sunday school.
And that just shows you how much he loves what he does.
That's a long day for him, but he's in. He's in. He's excited. He's going to come do it.
So cool.
I'm excited he's coming and doing it. It's going to be a good day. And so, man, I look forward to it. That's going to be Jay McGoy Day, and he is going to be tired, but that's okay. It'll be good. And then that Wednesday night, we got missionary Tim White to Mexico that we're going to bring everybody together for that Wednesday night from 7 to 8, and he's going to they're going to yep,
my teams are going to that.
So
gotcha, man.
Yeah, mission week is going to be great.
Mission month's working out good.
That week is going to be good, and so we have missionaries that whole week, and then the next week we're going to do commitment missions, your commitment cards, and hopefully get a lot of people committed to give to missions this year.
Well, and I think it's cool. I think it's good for the teens to hear that stuff. The last time we did a missions thing, I saw a couple of the teens get those commitment cards. And I was like, man, how cool is that? If they can get comfortable doing this at this age, man, rest is going to be a breathe. I feel like it's a lot harder to be used to budgeting and stuff. And you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to try to give the mission. So I think it's cool to give them that head start jump of, learning how to give at that age.
I think one of the things you want to teach, that's one of the things that I think camp teaches is to be generous, right? And so I think we as a church also needs to teach our people and starting with teens, the idea of being generous. Man, we're really blessed, and we can be generous, and we can give, and we can make an impact. And so even our little church, we gave $75,000, I think, last year to missions, and I think that's fantastic. And I think we can do more.
I don't think we can call ourselves a little church anymore. I think we're
mega
medium-sized.
No, not that.
No, and we don't never want to be.
Let's do it. Let's go big.
I like knowing everybody. I like to know.
But I think we could double and still know everybody. So let's get up to about 500, and then I'll just retire.
Gosh, do I want to?
I don't know.
500
I don't know the rules on all that.
You wouldn't be able to go nowhere.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But anyhow, no, I think it's good. And so in Sunday school, we were talking about living with intention, living on purpose, and just, but not being a turnoff or obnoxious. You know what I mean? I think there's Christians that. Instead of helping the cause of Christ, they are hurting the cause of Christ and causing people to go, okay, well, you're a complete idiot for sitting out here yelling at me. I was listening to a guy, and he was talking about how he had long hair, and this he was walking, and this preacher came running across the street and showed him verse out of 2 Corinthians, I think, and preaching at him for his long hair and giving him the word. You know what I'm saying? And so, which just makes that guy want to grow his hair longer. It doesn't make it. And then we're dealing with something that, who cares what your hair looks like, right? And so instead of helping a guy towards Jesus, all that's done is put a negative taste, a negative vibe in someone's life towards Jesus. And so, not that we don't speak the truth, but I think you can speak the truth and do it in love. And I think it's kind of what I talked about Sunday. We got to speak the truth. We need to do it in love, but it's still truth. Sin is sin, and sin is wrong, and we need to approach that. We need to address that. But I don't think we have to do it in a way where we're standing on a corner telling everybody they're going to hell. So I don't.
Well, yeah, and I think you shouldn't shy away from conversations. I had a friend in high school who's an atheist, and one of the things he told me is, he said, what I appreciate you is you're not trying to shove this stuff down my throat. He said, you can understand that we think differently. He said, you slip stuff about God in every now and then, but for the most part, you're not trying to force me into it. And if I ever ask questions, you're always ready to have a conversation. I think being available instead of attacking is always the better approach, because he said, I'm much more willing to hear what you have to say and hear your opinions on it, as opposed to someone who, is just talking to talk and doesn't really want to have
and I think there's a way to have a conversation, even with somebody that you disagree with, and still have a conversation versus, so many people get into the conversation and because you don't agree with me, well, then you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're whatever, and then I hate you, and then we just start screaming and yelling.
But how much is that, are we being trained
for sure.
think that way? I mean, we're trained to, you're either blue or red. And we're going to split you right down the middle, and you guys can't get along at all. You can't talk about stuff. It's just if they disagree with you, you have to hate them. And that's not how it should be at all. But, hey, through a loving approach, let's try to find some middle ground. And, I'll hear what you have to say, but ultimately I'm going to stand on what I believe. And I want to be able to display that to you from a sense. Whereas if I'm coming across as hateful, well, even if I make the best points, they're not going to listen to me anymore. But if I came from a place of love, then they're maybe more willing and open to hear what I have to say and might be open to allowing me to change their perspective.
And I think that's where it's important that, that old saying, love the sinner, hate the sin. And I think that is still applicable today. And the problem is we have a lot of Christians that have gone so far that we love the sinner and we love the sin. When I just don't think that's God. We're going to talk about we jump into my message. We talked about the woman taken in adultery, where he said neither do I condemn thee. But then he doesn't leave it there. He says, "Go and sin no more."
But I think what's cool about that line is it wasn't
not at all
shaming. But after the crowd clears out, he says, "Hey, I just stood up for you, but
something needs to change."
And something about, one, the fact that he addressed it, but two, the fact that he addressed it privately, personally, and it wasn't to see other people putting her down, but he said, hey, I care about you and I love you too much to allow you to keep doing this, which is kind of, I think you said that, we should love people to the point where we're not allowing them to sit and dwell in their bad
When we talk
habits.
about love, is it love for me to allow somebody to let people just wreck their lives? Is it love for me to sit there and see somebody heading down a wrong path that is doomed for destruction, and I say, well, I love you, so I'm not going to say anything? That's not real love. Real love steps in and says, hey, man, I love you too much to let you keep going the direction you're going. I love you too much to keep silent. I'm going to step in and in love show you that, hey, that is not and I think that's where we as Christians need to be, is in love, treat people with dignity, love, respect, but love them so much to say, hey, man, I'm concerned about the direction. I'm concerned about the choice. I'm concerned about, where you're going to end up. I'm concerned. Is it love to say, well, I don't want to tell somebody about Jesus because they're going to not like that and they're going to hate me for it. But that still doesn't change the fact that I love them and I don't want them to die and go to hell. So true love, steps out there and tells people sometimes the hard truth. Which can be difficult, but I still believe we need to do it.
like a couple weeks ago, one of my friends was wearing a shoulder bag, and I went up to him and I said, "Bro, you cannot wear that. You look ridiculous." And out of love, I'd hate for other people to be thinking negative thoughts about you in their head. I said, "Bro, I don't know who told you shoulder bags are cool, but they're not. It looks like you're trying to wear a purse, and you shouldn't have a purse. Just get a backpack like a normal person." And I think that's why sometimes, I don't think bullying's okay, but having people in place to say, "Hey, you probably shouldn't."
Well, I think it's healthy to,
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. I think of all the things that I thought were cool that I would wear, and somebody at school would come up to me and be like, "Bro,
right,
don't do that. You're making a fool of yourself." I'm like, what? I think that I'm a lot more normal now because of peer reviews around it. But obviously, I'm not saying bullying is good.
I think honesty is good.
Bullying can be very bad.
I think honesty done with love is
great.
good. And to say, "Hey, man, you're setting yourself up for some verbal attacks from some people if you wear that or do that or whatever." I think that's healthy. I think some people need help with social cues. Some people really struggle with social cues. They're socially awkward, and to have someone that loves them, and I think that's the key, is someone that loves them to say, "Hey, man, man, if I was you, I don't know, I would rethink that." I think that's good. I think that's important to let people know. But I think that also comes, you have to earn the right and position to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take criticism better from somebody who has loved me and fought for me and who has been on my side, and I'll take criticism from them way better than someone who has never been anything but negative to me. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a key too. Have you earned the position or the right to have that conversation?
Well, that's the same with like certain kind of like sarcastic jokes. Is if I don't respect the person, I'm not going to handle criticism or very like rude, sarcastic jokes well from you, because
I agree 100%.
I don't know you like that. And I think with the sarcasm humor is like, it's really big where people will say stuff and not realize the power of their words. And if you haven't developed that kind of relationship, it gets hairy. I've had several people, obviously because of, and this is honestly expected, but because of me and you, what we do, we're in the business of people, and we're very outward. Like, people might see me and you making some sarcastic comment to someone, and then someone we don't know just comes up and says something that's like kind of hurtful, but they were meaning it as a joke, but I don't know them, so I don't know that that's a joke, and I don't take it as a joke. And so I think with anything, your words have so much power, whether you're trying to build someone up and correct something in their way, or even if you're just joking or anything like that. Anything that you say holds so much weight, can be taken 1,000 different ways, and that's why you should be extremely careful with what you say and how you steward your tongue until you've developed some kind of relationship with someone and have earned kind of a little bit of respect.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people see us joking and kidding, and see us joking and kidding with other people, and they just want to be a part. But no offense, we've not developed that relationship. So it's kind of like, who are you and where'd you come from? And so that sometimes can be,
But then even me, like, I'm really bad at, like, I have some sensitive areas where even if you've earned that respect, if you say something specific. Dude, it ruins the rest of my day.
Isn't it funny that we can joke and play about so many things, but then there's certain things
we all have a line somewhere,
are just cutting. Okay, that's too far.
Yeah. But then it makes me wonder at how many of other people's lines have I crossed and had no idea, and I'm here so mad about that one thing that they said. I've said 1,000 things today.
Well, and that's like, and Brett Cluey, he's a guy that just is just a good-natured dude, and I'll sometimes give him a hard time. And there's been times where I was giving him grief, and then we were on the way home, and Tracy's like, "You're the biggest jerk ever. I can't believe you said." And I'm like, "Yeah." So I go back and apologize to him, and of course he's always, like I said, he's always been a good sport. It may have hurt his feelings, but he's never let me know, and I wish he would have. But he's the kind of guy that's like, "No, man, we're good," and he's just a good-hearted person. But I can see that sometimes I take my kidding too far, and usually when I do that, 100%. Tracy lets me know pretty quick. So,
well, I think that's why what you said. that's why, what you said, I wish he would say something if it was affecting him. That's where I think a lot of us, something will upset us, but we don't address it, which is allowing a door open for it to happen again. Because if that person doesn't know that what they said had an effect on you, they're going to keep saying it because they don't mean anything by it, and they don't know that it might be upsetting you. I think that goes back to what we were saying about, Jesus with the adulterer in private saying, hey, I didn't really like that. I know you didn't mean anything by it. Just want to give you a heads up. That didn't sit right with me. Because I think it's so we get in this victim mindset of like, this person must hate me. Well, they don't know that what they're saying has an effect on you until you communicate that with them. And so I think it's important to, yes, we're talking about stewarding your tongue and being smart about that, but also seeing both sides of it, not just having this like victim mindset, but understanding, hey, I don't know where they were coming from with that. And in order for me to find out, having a conversation gets us there and is the vessel to creating that peace there.
Well, and I think people are so scared to just have a heart-to-heart conversation. I think people today, we've gotten so used to blasting or saying whatever we want on Facebook that to sit down and just let's be cordial and have a human interaction and a human conversation. A lot of people are losing that art. They're losing that ability to talk.
Or they're willing to have the conversation, but they've already badmouthed you to 3 other people before they're willing to sit down and have this conversation with you just to find out, I misread this whole situation, and now there's 3 other people that have the wrong view of this too. Because there's obviously 2 sides to every story, and I think if we were to stop and figure out perspective more often, I think everybody's view of each other would be a lot better. Because even someone that is completely in the wrong, most of the time isn't going out of their way to do something that's in the wrong. They just had a different view on it, and we're all raised different, have different experiences, different walks of life, so we're all going to see different situations differently. Nobody's wired the exact same. As close as me and you are, there's a lot of areas where we're very different, and we don't always see eye to eye on things, especially if we're doing some kind of manual labor together. we usually get into it, and it's just because we're not wired the same. Everybody's wired different. And so I think talking is the best thing for us, and not talking to other people, but let's talk straight up with this person. And then if you talk to that person, you realize, no, you were dead right about the perspective, and then you want to go tell other 3 people, fine, whatever. Yeah. Do whatever you want to do. But I think it's important to have that conversation first before you start spreading stuff.
Like I said, I think so many people just don't know how to have a conversation. They just don't know how to, hey, man, let's talk about this. Let's work on this. And so anyhow, we just need to be better. So, but we talked about the woman at the well, and it was a good standalone message. We've been in Romans and in the Sermon on the Mount for the past 1.5 years, 2 years, feels like for a minute. And so I had been thinking about this message, kind of been rattling through my head, and I think in our society we've gotten to the point where we're justifying sin, and sin's okay, and Jesus loved the sinner, and he did, but he hated the sin. He hated the sin. How do we know he hated the sin? Because he went and died on the cross. He hates sin, and one of the things we need to as Christians is to get back to where we're in the same position where we hate sin, not other people's sin, but the sin that's in our life, the sin that we're dealing with, the sin that we struggle with. And so if we could get people to refocus back on that, stop justifying, stop making excuses, and stop blaming other people, and own it. Hey, this is my sin, and I need to repent of it. I need to turn from it. I need to make it right. And I think that's where, Jesus, when Jesus said, hey, go, I'm going to do it privately, but hey, man, I love you. Go and sin no more. And we see that anytime people came in contact with Jesus, that they were changed. He never left them in their sin, ever, unless they chose to. But he always said, hey, I love you where you're at, and I'm going to meet you where you're at, but I love you too much to leave you where you're at. And so that was the whole point of my message. I don't know if I got that across or not. I felt like the first service went better than the second. But anyhow, that's what happens when you're don't have it all written out the way it should be, and you change a sermon during the week when you couldn't fix it. So
I felt like it went good. I didn't hear the first one.
I felt like the first one went better.
Good. So if you want a book, if you're a reader and you want a book that has a good, healthy perspective on sin, I highly recommend the book, The Mortification of Sin. If you want to hear an extreme
Puritan, it's good.
Puritan, That book's really good. Some of it, the language is a little dense, obviously, because it was written a very long time ago. But I really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it.
The mortification. I've read it. It's good. And but yeah, if you want to tackle that, and it's the whole idea of putting that away, realizing the damage and the danger. Because I think we're really good at justifying, and we're really good at making excuses, and we're really good at saying, well, everybody, and I don't think we need to worry about everybody else. We need to worry about us and our relationship with God, and stop making excuses. And
well, and the picture that book paints is like, I'm not just going to be upset when I sin, but I'm going to be absolutely disgusted by the thought of sin. Like anything even close to that is going to disgust me. Yeah. I'm deterred away from that. I don't want nothing to do with that. And so it's really good, really powerful stuff. Obviously, the Puritans lived a little bit more strict than the Western church culture does today. And I think it's a good thing to get back to. I think there's some dangerous things with it. With being that extreme, is I feel like you judge others a lot more because you view yourself as holier than thou. But that's with anything. Any route you take, there's going to be dangers and backsides to it. But my Sunday school, we skipped right over my Sunday school. I wasn't paying attention.
So they kind of so the problem is I switched because they all connected.
They connect.
And so that's the only reason why I went ahead and connected them, because we were talking about what are you doing in Sunday school. We were talking about what are you doing? How are you in your community? Where you're at? Do you live on purpose? Is there a reason for what you do? Are you doing anything for the Lord? And that kind of deal. So they kind of morphed together. So I apologize for that. I morphed them together. So
no. I had just zoned out and realized we're talking about main service now, and I was like, oh.
No, they zoned in together, and it's a lot of times the Lord will do that stuff we're talking about in Sunday school, not on purpose, on my purpose, maybe on God's purpose, but a lot of times that they overlap and have the same kind of conversation. So.
Yeah, a lot of times what you teach about main service lines up with what I went over.
Did not.
This week it did not. We're in the book of Luke, chapter 9. Kind of touched on the transfiguration and kind of highlighted the importance of that and just how huge that moment was. But then we really kind of focused on later on, Jesus is talking. He says, "Who do the crowd say I am?" And they said, John the Baptist or some other prophets. And then Jesus says, "Well, who do you say I am?" And Peter says, "You are the Christ." And that's this pretty big deal, obviously, for us. We all believe that Jesus is who he says he is, but for them in that moment, although they've seen miracles and stuff, that admission is just a big deal, and putting it into words. But then we talked about later on, Jesus talks about how he's going to suffer, and then how, I think we read it, I think it's Peter, kind of like tries to correct him on it, and which is so funny to think, like, obviously you've seen this guy perform miracles, and he's a dude I would have been terrified of at the time. Right. He's not a guy I'm trying to make mad. And then you're going to try to pull him aside and correct it. And it's really funny. We kind of just explained that for the Jews, the idea of someone coming to suffer, the Messiah wouldn't be coming to suffer. He's supposed to be coming to end suffering. Which we talked about is kind of justified because the Old Testament says he's going to I think it says like remove all iniquities and make all wrongs right, or something like that, and which is true. But then there's also the verse in Isaiah that says it's like the son of suffering is going to come and suffer for God, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing terribly because I'm not very good at remembering, especially Old Testament verses. They're a little bit harder to get all the diction correct on. But so there's these two sides, and obviously Jews read that, but I think that for a guy like Peter, he doesn't expect this powerful, Messiah that's going to bring right, and this guy who's going to come and suffer. They didn't realize those were the same guy, and that Jesus isn't saying, "Hey, I'm here to end suffering, but I'm going to save you through suffering." Your life. I'm not going to remove the suffering from your life, but I'm going to allow eternal life to be accessed through my own personal suffering. And so we just kind of broke that down. And with that, obviously, Jesus says you're thinking earthly when you should be thinking godly.
Yeah.
Get behind me, Satan, which pretty powerful words there. So we kind of broke that down. What's this idea of thinking earthly and thinking godly? So we kind of got into the threat of this consumer theology about how we have this spirit of expectation sometimes of like, well, Jesus owes me this. There's bad stuff happening in my life that shouldn't be happening because I'm being faithful and I'm following God. Why is this happening? We have these expectations in place. And we talked about how the dangers of having these expectations is, well, when your expectations don't line up with God's will, how do you view Jesus now? How does that affect your view on God? When we've developed these deep expectations of what God owes us and what our life should look like, and then we went down this long rabbit hole of there's gonna be a crossroad at some point in your life where your desires don't match up with God's will, and there's a huge opportunity there to look at that as a chance to step away from God or a chance to step closer, to God. And I said if we live intentionally with this idea of, hey, I'm not going to have a spirit of expectation, but I'm going to have an open hand and say, God, wherever you want for me, wherever you'll have me go, I want that for my life. And that removes this disappointment when we don't get the things that we deserve. And for them, I said, like, a very real example I can give you guys is some of you are going to have a dream college that you want to go to and you've been praying about for a long time, but that might not be God's will for your life. God might have you at some other school, and you don't see it right now, but this other school is going to be the best thing for you. But you think, I've been good, I've been praying about this, so God's going to let me get into this college. What happens when you don't get into that college? Are you going to go to this school and you're going to stop showing up to church? You're going to slowly check out because you're upset and mad at God because he didn't give you the things that you thought you deserved for your life, and miss out on the huge opportunities that God had for you at that college if you were just willing to have an open hand and say, you know what, God, whatever you'll have for me, that's what I want for my life. And so we kind of broke that down. And then we talked about this idea of, obviously, it's not just about expectations of things that we get, but expectations of way of life. Jesus doesn't say that your life's going to be removed of all suffering. He actually promises the opposite. Hey, following me is going to be hard. There's going to be trials. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be bad seasons of life where you're like thinking, man, what is going on? And so I used this quote from this pastor. I don't remember who it was. I also used a quote from Tim Keller, and I was going to quote that farther back, but I could not remember for the life of me what it was, but it's really good. So look up Tim Keller quotes, and maybe you'll run into it. But the quote basically was, your salvation costs you nothing, but following Christ costs you something, maybe everything. And I just thought that's a killer quote. And so we kind of talked about, okay, well, what does that mean? Following Christ is going to cost you something. That cost isn't what's paying for your salvation. That was completely free. And the cost of salvation is nothing. Jesus has already paid that price. But in order to live a life devoted to Christ, there's sacrifices you have to make, and that's a sacrifice of your own earthly desires. We broke down this idea of, okay, what does it mean to die to self? And I think that's something that all these things that we talked about, I feel like is so good, and I hope that they were listening and took something away from it, because it's easy in any stage of life, but I feel like also especially in theirs, in this transitional period from high schooler to adult, those ones that are older in high school, if we can really hammer home this idea of not having a spirit of expectation, but instead having an open hand to God, how much different would your perspective and attitude towards life be as you go through life and it doesn't work out the way that you expect it to?
Because reality is, you talk to anybody that's an adult, they'll tell you it didn't go the way I planned.
Nobody's doing the job they thought they would be doing as a kid. Not one.
And even if you are, it still didn't go exactly how you thought it was going to go. I mean, because that's just not life.
No.
I think that's a good thing for the teenagers to realize early, because there's even adults still floundering because they had this unrealistic expectation about God and what they think God should do for them, and then now they find themselves in a big mess.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I learned at camp. And Big John would always have this saying. He says, the spirit of expectation is not your friend. And because of that, we never knew, like when he changes stuff a lot throughout the weeks of camp, because he doesn't want you to get complacent and think, okay, well, I know how this thing works. He'll take something and completely flip on his head. One of the things is like, and the vets aren't really supposed to tell the rookies this when they're coming in, but at the end of every age group session, they don't do this anymore because they have the age group split up. But after junior, he would move you to a cabin on the other side of camp, and you don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, the weekend rolls around. You're like, finally, I can relax and take a break. You've built up this expectation of now I'm going to get rest. And he says, actually, you need to get all your stuff out of your cabin, move it to the other side of the property into this cabin, and then we're all going whitewater rafting. And it's like, oh, well, my whole weekend that I had planned out in my head is shot. And he says it's because I want to create in you someone who doesn't have this spirit of expectation, but someone who's saying like, hey, I'm going to do the best I can at what responsibility is placed on me without expecting anything to go any certain way. He said, you never know what's going to happen. For me, I expected to be on program the whole summer, my first summer. A counselor got hurt, and they said, Keagan, you go be a counselor for a week. Crap, that's not what I had already envisioned this week looking like. And I think it was a healthy thing for all of us college-age students to learn is with this idea of, God, I'm going to have an open hand, and whatever responsibilities you place in front of me, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability without expecting anything. Because when you're expecting stuff and you don't get that, well, now you're not doing your responsibilities to the best of your ability because you're checked out, dwelling on the fact that you didn't get what you think you deserve, or you didn't get to go this way when God wanted you to go this way. And so I think that if they can really grasp that idea now, I mean, how huge is the rest of your life going to look like? So I really enjoyed this week's lesson, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we're wrapping up Luke here soon. I'm going to bounce over to something else.
Luke, the physician. Good stuff. All right, do we have anything else?
No.
Yeah, one thing.
Oh, one thing. I want to get your thoughts on this because it's something else we talked about in Sunday school. When I brought up Peter pulling aside Jesus and like trying to correct him and stuff, it's not documented in Luke, but it is in Mark. So we had to jump over to Mark to get that last bit of the conversation. And so I was wanting to know your thoughts of why Luke didn't include that. My theory is that he didn't want to like embarrass Peter, didn't want him to look bad.
Yeah,
so
maybe. Well, and we'll find that. You got. A couple of these guys, they were actual eyewitnesses. They were there. Mark, he went and he gathered up everybody's information, got their stories, and then we know Luke. He comes along a little bit later, and so we see that anytime you gathering stories or gathering, he may not have heard that. He may not have heard that he did that, you know what I mean? And so it might, and he could have done that. Hey, I'm going to protect my friend, but it could have been, I never heard that story because even when you hear about blind Bartimaeus, one of the eyewitnesses, the guys that were there, they said there were two guys. But you look at one of the other testimony is it was just Bartimaeus. Well, what happened was he went and he was interviewing people and he's talking to the guy that was healed from his blindness, So this one guy goes, yeah, there were two guys that were healed, and this guy says, well, I'm actually talking to Bart. His name was Bartimaeus, and he was healed. And so he didn't know about the other guy, but he's just interviewing the guy that was there as Jesus came out of Jericho. And so it could have simply been just been, not that they're trying to mislead, not that they're trying to hide, not that they're trying to, do whatever. It was just, that's who he was talking to. But could you imagine interviewing a guy that Jesus healed outside of the walls of Jericho, who was blind, and he's telling his story. And then the other guy was like, yeah, we were there. There were two guys, but he may not have even known Bart's name. He just know that two guys were blind and they got healed, know. And so it's just kind of different from your perspective. But you could even go and be, I've sat there and we've had the same experience. And say your mom tells the story and I tell the story. We both experience the same thing.
And then I'm hearing both of y'all tell the story. I'm going, that didn't happen
exactly.
Either the way that they just explained
so
it.
It's just a matter of perspective and how you experience it. But I think that's what makes the gospel so rich and true and resonant, and they resonate so much is because there is the human, and they're telling the story, and they're going based off what they remembered and how it affected them, and just the way they were raised and their perspectives and all that different stuff. So absolutely,
and it all paints the same picture. Like if I look at that account in Mark and the one in Luke, it tells the same story, paints the same picture,
Yeah.
There's just a piece moved out.
No,
not
not
a piece
at all.
that contradicts the other one, but there's a piece removed. It still tells the same story. I'm still getting the same stuff out of it. And obviously we still have that information. It's just you go over to Mark, and now I slapped on an addition from Mark to this story in Luke to enhance it and tell another side to it. And I think it's cool. I think what's more reassuring is we're not just getting one guy's opinion on the Gospels. We're getting four.
And they're so just perfectly,
Yeah, well, my thing is, if one guy tells me something, I might slightly believe him. But if I have four different guys come up to me separately and tell me pretty much the same story, okay, well, now I know this is truth.
Yeah.
This is real. And that's, one of the things I've really enjoyed. What I really enjoyed about Mark is I feel like when I'm reading through Mark, it feels very raw and personable. And it's so like, this is literal eyewitness accounts that you're reading down. I think it's Mark that uses the word immediately a lot, which is it's just cool because he's just sitting there writing out the exact step-by-step story of what took place, and I think it's really cool and reassuring for us as believers to say, hey, well, this isn't just coming from one guy, but it's coming from a lot of different people that all sat
and they
down.
didn't sit down together. They sat down at different
concrete
times,
document.
at different places, at different moments, and yet you see how they just mesh together and how they go together, and that just shows you the truth that's there and how.
Yeah, it's not just one guy finding a couple tablets. It's a lot more serious of.
No, absolutely.
Witness.
Well, and you ask any kind of investigator or whatever, they say that shows real credibility because. It's different. There's different people's perspectives and how they saw it and how they experienced it, and so it proves instead of those little things, according to an investigator, they say what that does is it brings credibility to it, not the other way around. Because if it was they said the exact same thing, if you get four guys saying the exact same thing, then you start wondering, is this the truth? But if you got four people telling their story and they all come together, and you're like, okay, well that's the reason why when they bring you into an investigation room, they separate you. They want to hear your story, their story, and see where it goes.
Well, and even in a court case, it's not just let's hear the plaintiff versus the defendant, but let's both sides bring in some other eyewitnesses who can. I remember so many times in high school, or not as much high school, but middle school especially, when I'd get in trouble. Me and my friends would do something stupid, we'd get in trouble. Yeah, they all pulled us separately, and I think what they were good at sometimes is they would pull us in a time where we weren't in classes with each other, so we didn't know we're getting investigated on. We didn't have time to, hey, let's get together and get our story straight before I go down to the office. But you're getting pulled in randomly. You're walking back from lunch by yourself, and he grabs you by the arm and pulls you in the office. You're like, what the heck's going on? And then you're getting interrogated. You're like, dang it, I didn't have time to go check in with the story. And then you don't run into the other guys to say, hey, this is what I told him. Make sure you say that. But no, that's good. You need to have different, separate accounts, not just a bunch of people sitting down saying, hey, let's make up a great story.
Well, that's the beautiful thing of the gospel. I mean, that's the beauty in it, and that's what makes it so special and so good, and it gives us the account of Jesus and who he was, and given from four very different perspectives, right? Four very different perspectives, and I think that's the beautiful thing in it, and that's why the Gospels are so important and so huge. So.
Well, we're coming up on an hour. So good to be back in the podcast studio. Hope y'all enjoyed. Hope y'all didn't miss us too much last week. Excited to see y'all. This Wednesday kicks back off. We'll see you here at the church. Tune in next week for another episode. See ya.